Hello, I'm Mandela, Chief Anchor of Simply Raw News in the Simply Raw Newsroom here in the Black Wall Street District. I'm very interested to hear your response to a question many of our followers would also like to know. So, I'm going to pose a question to everyone regarding a semi-recent news report many of us have already heard. Do we accept Trump catching the virus as fact, or is this another one of his pathological lies? Keep in mind, this man has been caught over and over again in his lies that no one can dispute. It's been recorded on tape, and these lies have been exposed, showing Trump saying one thing and then saying the opposite. He said, and I don't need to quote him, listen for yourself in Trump's own voice.
We're going back to work. We're going to be out front. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it. I stood out front. I led. Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune. I don't know.
This sounds like he was performing to prove something to the American public. Who in their right mind would pull a stunt like that? He said he's a leader, so he led everyone into the path of death. Is that what it's about? Leaders leading their followers into the path of death? Okay, so if Trump jumps off a bridge, everyone who follows him should do the same, because he's telling you he sacrificed his life by exposing himself to let you know it's okay for you to jump off a bridge. Go ahead, fools. He said jump. He'll be waiting for you in hell. It's truly unfortunate that there are so many blind followers of a man that wouldn't know the truth if it bit him in his ass. He's continuously being recorded and caught in his lies. Why would anyone think his claim of being sick is any different than any other lie he's told in the past? What are your thoughts? Thanks for listening. Now back to our studio.
Hi, this is your sister girl coming to you from the Raw News Network. I'm ready to bring you an exclusive story that helped change the world. Today, we're talking about Mr. Christopher Columbus. You know him from those old school history books. You also know him because of the holiday many of us get a day off of work for. Well, it is written that he sailed the seas to see if the world was round, and that he discovered America. Of course, by 1492, most educated Europeans already believed the earth was round, and he failed at sailing all around the globe. But why did he come around these parts in the first place? You guessed it, money and riches. You know money makes the world go round. Did you know that he struck a deal with the Spanish? He stood to gain all kinds of wealth from his voyage. See, he negotiated the terms with King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain. He was to keep 10% of all acquired precious stones, gold, silver, spices, and other things from the trip. So don't think he was going just because. It was all about them Benjamins, baby. Did you know that during his travels, he enslaved and mutilated indigenous people? He sure did. And he did it to a group of wonderfully kind and giving people called the Taino when he stepped on Hispaniola. He even wrote about how good they were and good looking in his diary, talking about they'd make good servants. He then forced them into slavery. He should have been slapped. I'm just glad that in 1499, the Spanish monarchs caught wind of that, and he ended up being stripped of his title as governor. And then, for nearly a decade, he was getting all kinds of rejections from kings and whatnot. But by 1486, the Spanish monarchs changed their minds and agreed to fund his trip. He must have did some kind of sacrifice or something, or maybe because they figured he could make them richer by what he would end up acquiring for them. Either way, greed was what fueled the trip. Good or bad though, he did create a bridge between the old world and the new one and allowed for voyages to take place that would help make America the country it is today. But was he a good man overall? Nope. And that is all. Remember, knowledge is power. Now back to the studio.
Hello and welcome. This is Udaya again on Blast. This commentary is entitled Shameful. How disgusting it has become to be a citizen in this country. Did you watch the recent presidential debate Tuesday night on the 29th of September? It literally took my breath away. Now, I agree with the newscaster that stated this was a real, as she quoted, shit show. Let me say that again. It was a shit show. Some said it was a circus. Can you believe the leader of our so-called free world would not denounce a white supremacist group when they asked him to do so directly? But in fact, he invited them by quoting, "Stand back and stand by." What the hell does that mean? These words incite folk to continue destruction and attacks on people of color who protest injustice acts in this nation. If you recall, he also identified them as, let me quote, he said, "very fine people." He is also creating fear by suggesting that the voting results will not be authentic. This creature of a so-called man also insulted the son of his opponent, claiming he was a cokehead, even though the man has been in recovery for many years. This is so sad because many Americans have close family members who struggle to free themselves from drugs and alcohol use. It was also reported that young children who also watched this debate fled from the TV, confused and crying. One child was so frightened, he asked his mom if they should buy a gun. In my summation, those that take alliance, camaraderie, and support these views of his, they need a spiritual deliverance to bring them out of the dark ages or a wake up from hell. This is what happens because he refused to implement cultural diversity instructional classes. Then again, these are age-old prejudices, passed down and embraced in some families as generational curses. This man insinuated and almost guarantees that the polling results will be rigged as well. He announced that he will protest if he loses, and he will not leave the White House quietly. I can imagine seeing him panting, sweating, ranting, raving, slobbering all over himself when he loses.
Shoot back. I'm hard and I'm flossy and I'm all that. You talk a lot of shit, where your bodyguard at? I got a pocket full of money, where them all at? Where the quads at? Where the drinks? Where the bras at? You're fighting over bitches, need to squash that. You shouldn't be disgruntled cause you didn't land a posh cat. It's black and I'm still trying to wash that. Rinse it up, lift the boot right between twin and Seneca. Sit in my lap and look at my snaps. Drop a 20 and watch these troublemakers fighting for scraps. My draw's so clean, my nips are so powder. Don't stress me out, just eat your clam chowder. Trying to stick my honeybee into your flower. If you like this record, then make this shit louder. It's so terrific out on the Pacific. Green plants and dancing make you feel lifted. I'm DJ Quick and I'm so gifted that you didn't even feel when the momentum shifted. I turned the pocket around and slowed it all the way down. I'm a musical
When you're relaxing at home on the grid and want to listen to some great music with spectacular DJs, check out WMDC SL Radio, where you'll hear
DJ Love is Love,
DJ IGS,
DJ Lady Squeeze,
DJ Urban King,
and me, DJ Starchild. Click the link below or check us out at WMDC-SL.com. WMDC SL Radio, where the music just sounds better.